second. Tell me your story. You moved here. It was 9/11 that really got you going here in the United States, in Dallas, in real estate, because you switched careers like shortly after 9/11, right?
Yeah, a couple of years after. 9/11 was the conduit that really got me out of the aerospace industry and into something else, and into another engineering field. And that engineering field took me to South Carolina, and then figured out that necessarily engineering wasn't something I wanted to do for the rest of my life. So real estate sounded like a great career that it would be, and went to real estate school. So in 2005, I enrolled in real estate school in Columbia, South Carolina.
And what made you come back to Texas from South Carolina?
Yeah, I went to high school here. I went to college here. My ex-wife's friends and family lived here in DFW. All my friends lived here in DFW now, essentially. I went to school at Midwestern State University, just 2 hours north of here in Wichita Falls. So I was the #1 agent in my market in Lexington. JP Associates was the #1 team as well in Lexington, and had been so for 3 years in a row. I guess part of it was ready for a new challenge. Part of it was ready to come home, to my friends, to the family. The kids were little. They want to be around grandparents and whatnot. So I still sold in the Carolinas for about a year. And I came back, got my broker license. And as soon as my broker license was active here in Texas, I founded JP Associates Realtors.
Right. And the whole philosophy behind JP is you are a disruptor of brokerages, but you're not really, because you're a traditional model, but the agents keep more of their fee, right? They keep 100% of it.
Yeah, we're the next generation brokerage, so we're 100% commission, but we provide full service, and really we have a hashtag beyond brokerage services, because now we offer health. We were one of the first companies in the entire United States to offer healthcare options for our agents. We've gone in the iBuyer sector with instant offers. So we entertain our agents now in quarantine on the weekend. Sunday night, we're going to do JPAR Idol night. So we have some old American Idol contestants that are going to join us on Sunday night, and they get a second shot of being JPAR Idols. They didn't make American Idol, but maybe they could be the next JPAR Idol. So we're having fun. We're a big family. I know that could be cliche and maybe overutilized, but the brokerage is really more than that. The brokerage is.
How many agents do you have now across North Texas?
Across North Texas, we have about 1,400.
1,400. But then you're also now, are you the third largest in the United States?
No, not third largest. You're too kind. Not yet. We're 40th largest.
40th largest.
In terms of transaction. 40th largest. Remember, we're still the new kids on the block.
Yes.
We were 50th last year. We're 40th this year in terms of home sales. We have franchising was new for us last year. So we are now, when I call number of agents, or really it's the entire enterprise, but our franchise numbers don't count with brokerage because they're separate entities. But we have about 2,600 agents in the enterprise, and operate in 14 states.
Well, we are definitely, and like I said, I've watched you grow from the very beginning, like talk about a V recovery, just going right up there. You started so quickly. Why do you think your company grew so quickly? Why are you still selling so much and acquiring more agents and growing?
Yeah, and we have a couple of acquisitions that
we should talk about. Yeah,
I can't announce them yet, but as you can expect, a lot of these companies are figuring out, we get this is for the birds. I'm not making any money, and agents are leaving and whatnot.
Right.
They don't. Well, I had one broker just tell me, JP, just take it away from me. I'm done dealing with this. So it's tough being in the agent business. It's tough being a successful broker. A lot of somebody told me the other day, JP, you make this brokerage stuff look too easy. Somebody that started their own company. The fact is, it's not been easy. I'm just really thick skin, and I'm really a hard worker. But to answer your question, why has JPAR grown so much? I always go back to Zig Ziglar's quote. We gave agents everything they could possibly want in a brokerage and more. It's gotten better. If you look at the early days of JPAR, we gave a fraction of what we're giving now to our agents. Just if you look at DFW alone, the 19 offices that our agents can use, and the technologies have just gotten better and better and better over time.
And so your agents, you've got health insurance, you've acquired companies, you're doing the white labeling iBuyer, if anyone wants that option.
Yeah.
Every time a new disruption has come into the marketplace, you guys have jumped on it and provided it for your agents, right?
Yeah. And just wait. We have two more things. I want you to look at redibs. Did you do an article on redibs?
I think we did an article on redibs. Yeah.
We're the only exclusive brokerage in the country right now that's partnered up with a billion-dollar hedge fund in New York City called Innovatus. They are the owners of a program called redibs. So real estate dibs. I got dibs. So they'll pay a homeowner cash up front for the right to potentially ever listing their home whenever that time comes, whether it's 6 months, whether it's 6 years, whether it's 16 years.
So the homeowner gets the cash up front in exchange for the promise that they will give you the listing.
Correct.
That's tremendous. I mean, that's going to be very helpful right now, I think.
We've and they don't have to sell. It's knowing that, we're not going to be in this home for 3 years. We'd love some cash right now. In fact, our agents are in a big redibs contest. They can win up to $50,000 if they sign up X number of redibs, which is listing agreements for them, right? And it's been extremely popular. That's new, cutting edge. What it does is secures listings. We've had, I want to say we have close to 1,000 listing agreements already signed in the last 4 months that otherwise may not have come to us because, as you know, agents aren't the best at getting that repeat business over time.
Well, that's a challenge. It's a challenge for them, and they need help doing that. So we talked a little bit about the market before when I wasn't recording. We'll just talk briefly. You said your March was terrific. Your March was actually better than last year.
Yeah, March was better. It could have been better. It wasn't the cash cow month that we had hoped. In April is not either. But
and May won't be great. May won't be great.
May won't be great. But it was pleased but not satisfied. That's something that we say around here quite often. But we're very optimistic about the summer just being absolutely crazy slammed. We're not planning on laying off anybody. We are, as I said earlier, our CDA department, our compliance department is working overtime. And that's because seasonally, this is when we would hire people. So we would hire more CDA people because we go from 1,200 closings a month to 2,200 potentially. So we had hoped that May would have been a strong over 2,000 closings a month. It's not looking that way. Probably 1,200 to 1,300 closings. So enough to pay the bills, but not a cash cow month as we seasonally would hope it would be.
Well, this whole year is going to be off a little bit, but we know it's going to go away. It's going to come back. There's going to be a vaccine. There's going to be a cure. People are going to get out there. I wrote actually this morning that I'd heard that Abbott was going to start talking about opening up the economy again because our numbers, we haven't peaked. And actually that's what the keeping everyone home, the quarantine has worked to keep the disease down. But now we can kind of go out and just kind of be careful how we do everything and see how.
0.05% of the population has been affected deathly, for better lack of words, by this. That's a tragic number, of course. No death is ever worth anything. But, right. I was talking to a politician earlier today, getting some insight. And the big talk in Austin is, is this lack of economy, this economic crash, is this going to cause more deaths than coronavirus? Right. From suicide and just homelessness and some of the other things that come with a bad economy. Drugs overdose. So he mentioned some things that they see spiking tremendously in the middle of a recession, bad economic times. And we're afraid of that, politicians are trying to react to that. And I think Abbott, I don't know when you're going to air this, but Abbott today will make an announcement that he's going to loosen up restrictions and give it to the counties. And, but it won't be business as usual for us. Again, as I said earlier, people have to be confident that the economy will rebound, and people have to be confident about their job security. If they're not confident either one, they're not, they won't be buying homes. And I'm doing my part. I was this morning on Good Morning Texas to really instill that consumer confidence in the real estate side. I can't promise people's jobs, but I can be a bit of a apostle and preacher when it comes to the real estate values. Because if you look at historically, I think we all wished in 2007 we would have bought more real estate, right?
Oh my gosh. Well, that's the thing. I mean, I think with the stock market, what it's doing, I think more people are going to invest in real estate, don't you?
I think people are investing in the stock market. This is
now?
Absolutely. It's a great, in fact, I know they are. It's a great, it's sectors that you have to pick. If you're going to go and invest in Bank of America, that may not be the smartest move. But if you're going to go invest in 3M that makes N95 masks, that's probably a pretty sound investment.
Or the pharmaceuticals, or yeah.
they're absolutely, pharma is great right now. It's a great sector. You got to stay away from those that were drastically, the revenues are going to be drastically impacted by this. And banks is one of them, of course. Auto is another one. Manufacturing is another one. So consumer goods is going to be another one. Now, consumer goods, if you go and buy Clorox, whatever company's Clorox, you bet, they're going to post some pretty nice little first and second quarter revenue dividends.
Exactly. Let's talk about the mortgages though, because they tighten the screws on lending, especially for jumbo. What is that going to do to us? Do you see that loosening up anytime soon?
No, to be honest with you, that's probably what concerns me the most. I think I hate to tell people to go buy home now, because it's a great time to buy, right? It's been always the rhetoric, but really now, if you're going to buy something, you should lock in your rates and your loans right now, because lending is tightening up. But the companies, banks are going to have liquidity issues as a result of all this. Mm-hmm. So they're very cautious about lending. They're afraid that people are going to lose their jobs. The forbearance does not help them, does not help us in return, because if you do a loan right now, Candy, and you go get a jumbo loan and a bank is putting $1 million in your name and you have a forbearance and you don't have to make a mortgage payment for the next year.
Yeah, that's a stress to them.
It's a stress. The servicing, a lot of people don't understand how mortgages work. You have, of course, the Bank of America and Wells Fargo and the cities that do, they're not a huge lending aspect of the company. They're less than 30% of all loans written. Mm-hmm. And they're the ones that service, that hold the mortgages forever. They don't resell them to anybody else. But 70% of all mortgages are done by what's called servicers, independent mortgage banks. And those 70% are the ones that when they do a loan, they have to service it until they can sell it to a secondary market.
Secondary market, right.
But that secondary market is dead because nobody right now is buying those.
I know, exactly. So they have to be careful what they take on, because otherwise they lose.
Guess what? At 2%, 3% mortgage rates that people are locking in, it's not worth the risk.
Right.
Those servicers are going to take that money, instead of buying mortgage-backed securities, they're going to go buy stocks.
Yeah.
They're going to put it somewhere else where they don't have to take risk and can make more than 2 or 3%.
That's kind of the flip side of the low interest rates. The flip side.
Yeah.
How do you think this is going to impact home showings, and are we going to see the big open houses again? I mean, do you think people are going to be, are sellers going to really want a lot of people trooping through their homes?
I always hated open houses. I think that is such 1970 way of doing real estate with as much technology. Full disclosure, who benefits open houses? It benefits the listing agent when they put the house on the market.
Because they get leads.
They get leads, okay?
They get leads, right.
Or a team that has a buyer's agent that needs leads, and the listing agent doesn't want to do open houses.
Right.
Will never do an open house because they like their weekends, and they send their buyer's agent to these open houses. And it gives somewhat of an exposure. It makes the seller feel good about, what the realtor is doing. But with technology, we partner up with Matterport. You talk about one of the first. We have the first enterprise account with.
We wrote about that. That. That was another one of those wonderful things you do. You went out there and immediately snagged a relationship, that company.
We did exclusivity with it. We had some relationships there. It's really all about relationships. And our agents have cheap prices, one click of a button, order Matterport 3D tours. And honestly, I mean, they can open up cabinets, they can close cabinets, they can augmented reality, they can move furniture around. They can do so much with that. It's so much. I mean, it's fantastic. Embrace it, because agents, I always hated sitting on the couch on a Sunday. I'd rather be with my kids playing, in the backyard than be at some stranger house for 3-4 hours while the game was.
And then the homeowners have to leave. They've got to leave.
Right. Yeah. And then the homeowner's inconvenience because it's Sunday. Sunday's supposed to be the day that you're home, you enjoy your family.
Right.
Obviously, nothing convenient about selling and relocating, without a doubt. I don't think we'll ever make that seamless. You still got to pick up your furniture and move and switch utilities, the services for that. But it's not, moving is stressful. So
there's no way you can go around that. But I do think that a lot of what we're going to try to do going forward is educate the consumer too, that these old ways of doing things, like you said, the 1970s way of open house, isn't going to cut it anymore. And but there's other things out there you can do, just like the way we talk about marketing properties. We talk about marketing them online, how strong that is, where you can share it and everyone can see the photos, where it's not in a flat magazine that no one's picking up anymore. So, just a totally different waves, mindset for the seller as well. So looking ahead, tell me what in your mind where we will be next year at this time?
Everything is cyclical. You can look even at the crash of 2007, even post 9/11, everything was cyclical, up and down, like very much like a sine wave. I think we're at the apex of the curve. So, well, gosh, I can use the word curve. Everybody now knows what a bell curve looks like as a
Yeah.
result of the pandemic, right? I'm a statistician. I went to school for my minors in statistics. So I did my share of bell curves and whatnot. But I think we're at the apex of the curve, but the curve doesn't go like this and go straight down, right?
It's
It's
gradual.
gradual, right? It's gradual descent. So if we look at
Train coming into land, right?
absolutely, if you look at where we are with the curve, let's just say we're even at the peak right now, which we could be. We could be at the peak and maybe just slightly starting to come down in home values here in North Texas. Every market is a little different. Some markets have already started descending. But if we start descending down this curve in DFW or in Texas and whatnot, that's not a bad place to be, because that would put us where we were 2 years ago in home values, or a year ago in home values, as we start gradually descending. And I'm gonna tell you, the number one issue that we have with the real estate market right now is home affordability. We have, in Texas, we have priced a lot of buyers outside of their affordability indexes, and that's an issue. So prices, if we could get lower prices, if we can get inventory, if we can get lower rates, I wouldn't be surprised if sales skyrocket and set another record this year than we had last year.
Or maybe next year at this time, that's what we'll be looking at.
Yeah, next year could be a solid year. Whatever it is, going to be a solid year.
Yeah.
I think we'll still have great prices. We'll have low rates. We've been talking about rates going up forever, right? I mean,
we have. It's been like every week, like, are they going up this week? And now they're down.
We need to stop being so rate sensitive, and we need to be more pricing sensitive.
Pricing sensitive.
When it comes to value sensitive when it comes to homes. Rates, most of the rates is tax deductible anyway. So a 0.25% between 3.75 and 4% you won't even notice it. So that shouldn't be the decision making factor in whether you're going to buy a home or not. That should be, is this $500,000 home what I really want to live in for the next 5 to 10 years,
Right.
Or should I wait?
Would you wait?
I'm under the impression, and I'm a firm believer, that you make money in real estate when you buy, not when you sell. So buy it, hold it. 10 years from now, God, I'm my first house in Frisco. I wish I'd bought 3 of them, and I bought it in 2011. 2011, I bought my house in Frisco, and in a matter of, and I sold it in 2016 or 15 or something. My first house in Frisco, and I did so incredibly well. I wish I'd bought 3 of those things.
So do you think the northern sector, the Frisco, the McKinney, where, by the way, they're going to have the Byron Nelson now over there at Craig Branch, I mean, do you think that whole area north, Prosper, Frisco, and north is going to continue to just blow up?
Yeah, I think we need to realize that history repeats itself. So you look at the circles and the development that have built Dallas. If you talk about Dallas specifically, from Loop 12, the 635, the George Bush, to 121, to now 380, every single one of those intersections, you have a major development. You have the Galleria, 635, and the Tollway. You have Shops at Legacy at George Bush and the Tollway. Now we have the PGA headquarters at 380 and the Tollway. So they're perfectly located. Like the Romans used to place their towns 30 kilometers apart from one another, because that's as far as a legionnaire could travel in one day, 30 kilometers, right? About 20 miles at most. We're placing our major shopping urban developments about 12 miles apart from one another, because that's as far as somebody wants to drive to go to the local Target or whatever it is, at the local mall, whatever it is. So yeah, and that's when you get to the commercial, those big box stores, that's where the developments start happening.
And from what I've been reading and the research I'm doing, the areas that you're covering are going to be the high growth areas for the next wave of real estate, because, and Mark Dotzer said last night in a conference that I was listening to in Austin, he said if I could short one thing in real estate, it would be the urban redevelopment. He said, that's over, it's dead. He said, people are going to want to go into ring suburbs. They're going to want to go into the outlying suburbs. They're not going to mind driving 20 or 30 or 40 minutes, and they're going to work from home more because they got a head start on it now with this.
You know, it's all relative. One of my neighbors is one of those things that open your mouth and answer foot. I was sitting there, and my neighbor and I were sitting at our kids play baseball together, and he goes, and we were talking about, I was like, people from California, they'll buy a house here in Frisco, and they won't mind driving all the way to Dallas, you know, in the morning for traffic. And he goes, I'm one of those guys, you know, area. You know, like, how the heck do you do it? I wouldn't want to do it. He's that guy that every morning leaves here, El Dorado on the tollway in Frisco, and will drive downtown Dallas because that's where his office is, and he does not mind it because he's used to 2-hour commutes versus 1 hour. For him, it's just no problem.
Okay, before we sign off, and we'll do this again, we'll check in with you, but what about farm and ranch, second homes? You've got a farm and ranch division.
We do. We have some amazing teams. Our Fort Worth farm and ranch division is one of the highest selling teams in the state of Texas in terms of volume. Very experienced. So farm and ranch would be, as long as it's a need, it'll be strong. If it's a farm and ranch for second homes, I really think second homes are going to take a hit. Second properties, they tend to be investment-like properties. So I think those are going to be put to the wayside for a couple of years. I think that, as well as luxury homes, are going to be impacted the most in this. Regardless of what happens, luxury homes are going to be impacted. Regardless of what happens, land, farm and ranch is going to be impacted because you know, developments are probably. I expect the next real estate bubble to come from the commercial side first before the residential, and I think this COVID stuff has really accelerated the commercial bubble.
Yeah, and they were unlike residential. Commercial was hurting going into this.
You know, in Frisco, you can't find commercial space, and that's just, some markets are going to be a little more immune to others. But you look at what's going on in New York, you know, with, of course, WeWork and WeWork bailing out of their leases, and they're the largest tenant in New York. How empty New York is in terms of commercial, this COVID, the shutdown, people asking for rent abatement. That's going to be in government. I don't see government bailing out these commercial real estate property holders.
They're asking now.
Everybody's asking, right? Everybody's asking. Wouldn't be surprised, right? Never in the history of employment has the government gave independent contractors unemployment checks.
Wasn't that amazing? And that was the first one that they looked at because they were smart to realize that this 50% of the United States is small business. So
great to use, and our agents certainly appreciated those that applied for the unemployment benefits. Fantastic. It's you know, it's another way.
I have to ask you one very controversial question. There is an agent in town who was quoted recently saying this is going to be so great for real estate. It's going to clean up all the realtors. Let's address that. What do you think?
No, I think he's right. I think he's right on that standpoint. Yeah. You've. I was on the webinar with the CEO of the California Association of Realtors, Joel Shipley, Joel something, Shirley or something. And you know, California, the majority is the most populous state and has the majority of real estate agents in the country.
More than anyone, right?
Yeah. CAR is a large membership in the United States. And, you know, I went through that. I went in 2000, I got my license in 2005, and in 2007, the market crashed, and I was ignorant because I was a new agent 2-3 years into this. So I just kept my head down. I kept working, didn't know any better. And then just slowly but surely, everybody around me started dropping out. It was a bit like 9/11. When I started in my engineering firm before 9/11 in 1998, when I graduated, the company hired 32 engineers out of college. I was one of those 32. After 9/11, it was me and 2 other guys left standing. And the company had laid everybody off in the aerospace sector. And me and the other guy quit the same day. We went to work for somebody else. So there's only one guy left out of those 32 engineers that were hired. After the market crash, I mean, you would just start seeing all your competition. I mean, yeah, there were colleagues in your same firm, but there were competitors in a way. They were taking your listings and your buyers one way or another. They went out of business, and guess who benefited from that? Me. You know, I kept increasing and kept having. I was a professional. I was the full-time realtor, and I love about JPAR is we position ourselves for this because we don't hire part-time agents. There's a lot of, I hate to say, ghost brokers, and you know, that just will hire any agent that wants to get their license, come on board, whether you sell 1, 2, 3, whatever, it doesn't matter. We actually have a productivity standard at JP Associates Realtors because I knew this day would come. and it's maybe come sooner or later. We don't know how, what the real estate market is going to be impacted, but it's most certainly going to be more difficult to put transactions together. It'll be most certainly fewer transactions for the short time that we're going through this. And I think those agents that were on the bubble that really were thinking that this is easy and they can, be an HGTV and whatnot, I think they're going to go look for other careers, and that's fine. That's great. Everybody deserves to find their calling in their career. Real estate's not for everybody.
Oh, it's a tough field. And I think agents are some of the most amazing, resilient personalities I've ever met. I think that's what draws me to this.
The ones that you usually deal with, not everybody. I will tell you, if you can't build that thick skin, you're not going to be around very long. So can't handle objections and rejection and failure, you're not going to last long.
I don't know if people realize that basically agents are told no like 90 times a day, and they have to keep going. That's what makes them so amazing. And that's why they will weather the storm, because they're tough.
Yeah. In baseball, I use this analogy. In baseball, somebody that can hit the ball 3 out of 10 is a Hall of Famer, right? If you bat 300, you're pretty good. You're well paid, and you're likely going to be a Hall of Famer in your career. If an agent bats 1 out of 10, you're a stud. You're a rock star.
You're a rock star.
10%. So, all the successful agents know that the more no's they get, just getting them close to that yes.
Yeah.
It's those ones that just think this is too easy. The best agents are the ones that come from a sales background, consultative background, bartenders as well. They understand that, this is just part of the sales gig. So
exactly. Well, I think we've gotten a great amount of wonderful news from you. We're going to kind of wait and see now what our governor says later on today. I'm kind of excited. I too heard that he was going to start loosening things up a little bit so we can get back to work. And there's the 2 points of this. There's the economic part, and then there's the health part. And it's tricky. It's a balance that we're doing, but we're still selling homes. And I'm just so happy and thrilled that we're here together, and that you guys are doing so well. And we'll kind of keep up with you from time to time and see how things are going.
Give me a shout tomorrow. I may have some exclusive breaking news between companies that we acquired and new management has come on board with JPAR. I'll give you
fabulous. Okay, we'll tune in. You take care and go give that little angel a kiss.
We're going to go pick her up in a few minutes.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
All right, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.